So people, in this video, let us look at this protection of industrial workers laws, the laws meant for protection of industrial workers. We need to write details about the Factories Act 1948 also. So basically, the laws for protection of industrial workers. So let us know these laws. Mainly you should know this one. Factories Act 1948. We're speaking about India, guys. So Factories Act 1948, Employee State Insurance Act 1948. Then you have the Workmen's Compensative Act 1923. Then you have the Mines Act. Then you have the Tea Plantation Act. Then you have the Atomic Energy Act. Then you have the Minimum Wages Act 1948. A lot of these things seem to have come during 1948. Then you have the Dock Laborers Act. Then you have the Industrial Dispute Act. Then you have the Employee Provident Fund Act. Employee Provident Fund Act 1952. Then you have the Family Pension and Deposit Linked Insurance Fund Act. Okay. So basically, have you understood this much, guys? So it should not be difficult. Remember, Factories Act 1948 is very important. Separate question on that itself may come. So you should know Factories Act. And it is protection of industrial workers. Just say Factories Act 1948. Easy, right? ESI you would have heard of, so you can remember that. What about this Provident Act and the pension provident and all, you know. So Employee Provident Pension also you can remember. Then it is not difficult to remember wages, Minimum Wages Act, right? What about this Mines and Tea Plant and all? Should not be difficult to remember, right? So industrial workers, protection of industrial workers, you can remember something like Industrial Dispute Act also. So there are a lot of acts. So what didn't we highlight here? Let us see. Workmen's Compensative Act, Atomic Energy Act, Dock Laborers Act. Okay, some other acts are there. So hope you have got the laws themselves. So many laws are there. So if you have to write the laws that they ask you, these many laws you will write and you will get marks. Now let us move on to the significance of these laws. Okay, significance of these laws. What are the laws we are talking about, guys? Laws meant for protection of industrial workers, right? That's what we are dealing with today. So protection of industrial workers. So assuming that this is a industry where people are working, so there are some laws to protect them. So basically, what is the significance of these laws? These standards laid down by this act, if complied by the employer, will go a long way in prevention of occupational diseases and promote the health, safety and welfare of employees. So basically, if the employers implement these laws, then it will go a long way in what? In preventing occupational diseases. Prevent occupational diseases, right? You will prevent occupational diseases and also you will promote health, safety and welfare of employees, right? So basically, safety is a very huge thing, guys. Safety should be there at workplace, right? So you can understand the significance. Now let us move on to the Indian Factories Act 1948, because the exam seems to be focused on Indian Factories Act 1948. This is important for exam. So basically, when was it first passed? It was first passed in 1881. Okay, it was first passed in 1881 and it has been revised and amended many times, and the last was in 1987. Okay, so this is what is, I'm guessing, is the Indian Factories Act 1948 they have asked. I'm guessing this is the one. Okay, they have amended it many times. Okay, many times they have amended. Let's get the latest from the internet. Wait, why simply look at the old one? So basically, there was rise of lot of large-scale factory industry, and then the first Factories Act was enacted in 1881. Then what exactly happened in 1948? So in 1948, consolidating and amending the law relating to labor in factories was passed in the Constituent Assembly on August 28, 1948. Okay, it came into force in 1941. So a lot of things there. Now let us go back to our slide here. Amended. Okay. So basically, it has 9 chapters, they are saying. This Indian Factories Act has how many chapters, guys? 9 chapters. So chapter 1, basically chapter 1, preliminary scope and definitions. So here it is giving the scope of the act and the definitions. Scope is like for whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir, and definitions will be like child means what? Scope is for India. Scope is for India, right? And then definition. So definition, basically, who is a child? A child is an individual who has not completed 15 years of age, adolescent, right? Who is an adolescent. An individual who has completed 15 but not 18. So 15 to 18, they're saying it's adolescent, right? Then you have a young person. Young person is basically an individual who is either a child or an adolescent, is young only. Young person is child or adolescent, right? What is a factory? Factory is an establishment employing 10 or more workers where power is used and 20 or more persons where power is not used. So if they use greater than 10 people and power, then it becomes a factory, right? Or if they employ greater than 20 people, right? If they employ greater than 20 people, and even if they don't have power, then it becomes a factory. Is this clear? The definition of factory, have you understood? Okay. Then who is a worker? Worker is basically a person who is employed, whether for wages or not, in a manufacturing process. So whether you're paying him or not, but if you have employed him, he's a worker. Interesting, because he is working there. Okay. Then, what is power? That sounds like a physics question. Power, an energy transmitted mechanically, and it is not generated by humans. So here the definition is that. But I'm sure you people have power. So here they are saying it is not generated by humans. Okay, so this is the first chapter. Now let us go to the second chapter. Chapter 2 of what? Factories Act. Okay. So basically it is the inspecting staff. So here they are talking about the inspecting staff. So guys, how many chapters are there? 9. So we are still in the second one, inspecting staff. So you will have inspectors, right? The state government may appoint chief inspectors and additional inspectors. So the state government itself can appoint these inspectors, chief inspectors, additional inspectors. Every district magistrate shall be an inspector. So the district magistrate himself can be an inspector, right? Then you can have the powers. What are the powers of these inspectors? An inspector can enter any factory within his local limits and make examination of the premises, the machineries or records, whichever he thinks are necessary. Okay. Then you have certifying surgeons. Interestingly, you have surgeons here. Surgeons, certifying surgeons. So basically the state government may appoint a qualified medical practitioner to be the certifying surgeon. Imagine there's a surgeon, a certifying surgeon here. So inspecting staff, who and all will be the inspecting staff? You saw that there'll be some chief inspectors, additional inspectors, district magistrate and all that. What will be their power? You saw they can enter any factory within their local limits, make examination of the premises, the machinery, the records, etc. Then you have something called as certifying surgeons. So you spoke about inspectors, you spoke about their powers, then you spoke about certifying surgeons. So now let's move on to the third chapter here. Chapter 3, health. So chapter 3 is what? Health. Okay. So basically health. This chapter makes provisions for the sanitary environment for the protection and promotion of the health of the workers. So what and all should be there? Cleanliness, disposal of refuse. Okay, so please listen guys. We are not typing means you will not listen only, right? So cleanliness, disposal of refuse, then ventilation, how the temperature should be there adequate, dust, fumes, then artificial humidification, overcrowding, lighting, water, latrines, urinals, spittoons. So let us see which and all you will say. You will say it should be clean, then it should be having good water, lighting, all this and all you will only say. Then what and all you will say, it should be well ventilated, right? So air comes here, water you have covered, lighting here, water here, ventilation here. Then what and all would you like? You would like some good toilets, right? And you would like the temperature to be very adequate for you. You would like some waste to be managed well, right? And you would like some, there should be no dust or fumes and all, right? We are all very delicate. So definitely these come under health. Now let us move on to the fourth chapter here. The fourth chapter is safety. Who doesn't want safety, right? So safety definitely we want. We just don't want to fall off into a unguarded, irresponsibly open pit, or we don't want to stamp a electric wire, right? So definitely safety. This chapter, this fourth chapter, fourth is safety guys. Which is safety? The fourth one is safety. Okay. So basically it talks about the precautions to be taken for the safety of workers against accidents, injuries, etc. So safety precautions will be what? Casing of machinery, devices for cutting off power, right? Lifts, cranes, everything should be fine. Recently there was a crane fall and a lot of people died, right? So that was in a shooting incident. Actually in a shooting the crane collapsed and people died. So all these things you would have heard of in the newspaper, right? So the work environment should be safe, right? There should be protection for eyes, right? The eyes should be protected. There should be no dangerous fumes. There should be no inflammable material, explosives, etc., right? Inflammable or explosives materials, you should be very careful with those. So basically there should be a minimum of 500 cubic feet of airspace per worker. I wonder how much that is. So if this guy is there, he should have a minimum 500 cubic square. So does this look like a square? No. Let us make it a square. Okay, let's make this a square for him. Is this a square? So 500 cubic feet, okay, of airspace. 500 cubic feet of airspace, not around him, but the entire airspace. 500 cubic feet of airspace. So guys, this is airspace, not the space around him. The airspace per worker should be there. Okay. Then there should be a safety officer also who will take care of everything, I'm guessing. Okay. Then let us move on to the fifth chapter, guys. Fifth chapter is what? Welfare measures. Welfare measures. So do you want a break? Take a deep breath. We will continue with welfare measures. Okay. Good. So if you have taken a break, let us go to welfare measures. What do you think their welfare should be? This is a little additional that they are telling here. Like they should be able to wash their clothes, dry their clothes, store their clothes. There should be facility for rest, recreation, like how these IT companies have all these swimming pools and table tennis and all that. Interesting, right? So they're saying at the factory they should have facility for rest and recreation. Okay, that I can understand, but why do they want to wash their clothes and all that? That I didn't understand. Okay, so basically they are telling some welfare measures like this. Then there should be a canteen. If there is greater than 250 workers, they should have a canteen. I really wish they have good canteens and clean ones. Nowadays it is like, before they used to say if somebody gives you food, they are God, right? Now it has become more like if they give clean food and fresh and healthy food, they are God. Clean, healthy, annadhato sukhi bhava, right? Okay. Then there should be creche for children. So if there are women workers, right, and they have their children, so they will have creche. Okay. So if there are more than 30 women, there should be a creche. But however, we did not have this facility in so many places. Children weren't allowed at all inside. Okay. First aid appliances should be there. Okay, this makes more sense. First aid appliance should be there. Right? For every 150 workers, one box should be there. One box for 150 workers. Okay. What should be there, guys? First aid box. Okay. Then a welfare officer. So for everything at the end, they will say one welfare officer should be there. Previously, they told safety. Then they said safety officer should be there. Now welfare and welfare officer. So everything makes sense here except that washing and drying and storing clothes. Anyway, so which is the chapter now? You forgot the number, right? 6. 6 is working hours. So 6 is working hours. 6 is working hours. So basically time. Weekly hours not greater than 48 hours in a week. So they'll say less than 48 it should be. Right? Per week. Less than 48 hours per week. And not more than 60 hours including overtime. So if you are making them do overtime, that should be less than 60 hours including overtime. Okay. If you are including overtime, how much overtime can these people do? 12 hours. Maximum 12 hours of overtime they can do. Which everybody makes us do, right? What do you see? Weekly holiday, they should have 1 day in a week, preferably Sunday. Daily hours, every day not more than 9 hours. Every day how much can they work? Only 9 hours. So I'm thinking 9 into 5, they will work 45 hours, plus on a Saturday they will have to work around 4 hours. Let us say 3 to 4 hours, so it will become 48 hours. Okay. So did you understand? 9 5s are 45, plus around 3 hours on Saturday, 48 it will become. Okay. So 48 hours per week, right? What about women? No women shall be allowed to work between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. Interesting, but I really wonder if this works. Because there are a lot of women doing night duty also, right? 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. I think these laws don't work to apply to doctors. Then, adolescents shall work only between 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. or for 4.5 hours and for 4.5 hours per day. So guys, so they can work only for how long? 4.5 hours per day only. And remember, if a person who is 15 above, he can work. So if somebody is employing a boy who's 15, please don't go and scream at the employer. Okay. It is legal only. It is not child labor. Okay. Then, there is some hazardous, non-hazardous, all that you will have to check. Then employment of young persons. Now let us move on to the next chapter here, which is covering all the concerns of yours. Employment of young people. Young persons. Young persons is anybody below 18, right? They can be a child or an adolescent. So basically, no child who has completed 14 years of age shall be allowed to work in any factory. So if the person hasn't completed 14, they cannot work. But if they have completed, 14, right, then they are allowed to work. So I'm guessing 14, it's a 14, if they have completed, they can work. So 15 to 18 adolescents, they will be duly certified by certifying surgeon regarding their physical fitness for work, and the certificate has to be renewed every year. So if they are 15 to 18, the certified surgeon will have to give the certificate. Okay, then let us move on to the 8th chapter. 8th chapter. Just last one more to go, 9th. Okay, this is 8th chapter. 8th chapter is very happy thing. Annual leave with wages. Annual leave with wages. Okay. So basically, let us look at annual leave with wages. Basically, besides the weekly holidays, that is, they suggested a Sunday and general holidays, every worker is entitled to leave with wages. This is leave with wages. Oh, that's even more interesting. So basically, they can take leave with wages after 12 months of continuous service. That is 1 year. After 1 year, they can take leave with wages. That is like an earned leave, right? You earned it. You worked 1 year continuously, and then if you take a leave, right, at the rate of 1 day for every 20 days of work, right, then they will have to pay you. So you will be on leave, but you will be paid because it's your earned leave. Okay. These leaves, they can accumulate up to 30 days, right? So that you can take a whole month leave, nice, with pay. But all that is only if basically you have accumulated the leave and you are given permission to take that. Next, 9th chapter. Hope this is also a happy chapter. This is something special. 9th one is special. Special provisions. So basically special provisions. Let us look at the special provisions. Unfortunately, this doesn't look so nice, guys. They're telling section 88, okay, section 88, in case of accident, death, serious injuries, these should be notified to the manager, by the manager to the district magistrate, and police inquiry should be conducted in every fatal accident. Then section 89, they are saying, it gives a schedule of notifiable diseases, and occurrence of such a disease should be notified by the manager to the chief factory inspector and certifying surgeon. So if there's a notifiable disease, right? Mainly, guys, these type of poisoning, lead poisoning, phosphorus poisoning, mercury poisoning, manganese, arsenic, right, carbon bisulfide poisoning, benzene poisoning, or there could be so many other types of poisoning. They are including anthrax here, right? Anthrax, silicosis. Anthrax is there here, right? Silicosis, radium, radioactive substances, X-ray, pathological manifestations of these, toxic anemia, toxic jaundice, right? Asbestosis. So many things are there here, but these are different from the notifiable diseases which doctors are told to, right? This is something different. Phosgene poisoning, occupational cancer, isocyanates poisoning, toxic nephritis, coal miners pneumoconiosis, beryllium poisoning, carbon monoxide, contact dermatitis, occupational or contact dermatitis, noise-induced hearing loss. Okay. So all these are the notifiable diseases in Factories Act. Okay. So hope you have understood the special provisions. This was the last chapter. Good for you, right? So now let us move on and take a small recap. Basically, what is the significance of these Factories Act, etc. To protect workers. So these legislations have been formulated and implemented since Industrial Revolution. These are implemented, okay? Because happy labor force means more productivity. More productivity means increased income, better healthcare, better economy, etc. Better country. So now let us look at the recap of this. So we saw all the laws for protection of industrial workers. We saw so many laws. Then we saw specifically, we looked at Factories Act 1948. We saw that the first chapter is about the scope and the definition. Then you have the chapter 2 about the inspecting staff. Then we saw health. Then we saw safety, welfare measures, working hours, young people, annual leave with wages. Then we saw special provisions for death, injury, disease, etc. So we have completed this huge topic of protection of industrial workers. Bye bye.